We're at the Cantech conference in Toronto with Jason Donville. Thanks for talking to us, Jason. What brings you to today's conference?
I've run into you guys at a few of these conferences, and they're focused on smaller companies, growth companies. I think are really an excellent place for people like myself, but even just kind of general, stay-at-home investors to meet with management teams and to see some of the great young, early entrepreneurial companies as they're coming out of the chutes. The Cantech conference is arguably one of the best in this category.
What is the upside you see in the tech sector?
We track the 40 fastest growing companies in Canada, and of those 40 companies, probably 27 of them are technology companies, right? So you got about 65% of the fastest growing companies in Canada are technology companies. Then if you look at the TSX 60, right, roughly six of those companies, five or six of the companies on the TSX 60 are among those fast-growing companies, or technology companies. So really, if you're interested in technology, you're really interested in the fastest-growing part of the market. If you're interested in growing your wealth, et cetera, you've got to be looking at tech. That's where the growth is. And if you look at the broader indexes in Canada, those broader indexes are not capturing growth to any significant extent.
And what is your outlook for the rest of the year?
I'm pretty positive, actually, and part of it is because the darkest hour is just before the dawn, and when I look at the market right now, I think oil is close to a bottom, and I'm not trying to say that the bottom was yesterday or today, but we may have put in the bottom last week at $25, right? The dollar is oversold. Every day you open up the newspaper, you're hearing about somebody buying a hotel or an office tower. So foreign buyers are piling into Canada. So these are all these signs that basically we're at the bottom. The Canadian dollar on a purchasing power of parity basis is probably fairly valued at somewhere between 80 and 84 cents. So markets, same thing on the way up and on the way down, we overshoot, and I think we've overshot on the way down, and I think Canada's a buy, and I think I would not be surprised if we're either putting the bottom in right now or we put the bottom in last week for 2016. I think Canada looks great, and I do think we're going to see a bounce back in energy in the not too distant future.
Very good points. What advice do you have for the average retail investor?
I would say, first of all, stay fully invested. So if we go back to 08, 09, those people who, after 3 or 4 months of getting hammered, sold everything and moved to cash and then sat there in cash, did not catch the bounce back. So if you are worried or nervous about this environment, then deal with it by just owning higher quality stocks, like moving into the safer stocks, but don't go to cash. Because what will happen is there will be a rebound, it'll come, and your cash will earn you 1%. And on some of those rebounds, you think about from the bottom of 2008 or 2009 to how much we bounced back in 2010. And then be open to growth companies. This conference is, I've seen 2 or 3 real gems of companies here that I think people should take a look at. And if you'd like, we can get into some specific names.
Yeah, please. I was just going to ask you, what are some companies that you can name for our investor audience?
If you look at technology companies, some of our big ones like Constellation Software, Enghouse, CGI, these are great companies, but they're large cap companies, and a lot of the times we want to get these small growers. So an interesting company I'm an investor in and is presenting here is TIO Networks, which does payment software. They could be the next Enghouse or Constellation Software. And what's interesting about TIO Networks is the CEO of Enghouse, his name's Steve Sadler. I think he now owns 8% of TIO Networks and is kind of mentoring the TIO management how to become a great software company. So I think TIO Networks would be an example of a company that I think is great. Another company I like is Apivio Networks. I'm on the board of that company, so full disclosure. But I think the CEO of the company, Rob Bakshi, is a terrific entrepreneur. Otherwise, I wouldn't agree to be on his board. There's a couple of other companies here that I think they're not turnaround stories, but they're moving from basically break even to profitability. And one of the companies that I saw that I was quite impressed with is called Cortex, which is a software company out of Calgary. They do some oil and gas software, but they also do other industries now. They've gone from big losses to break even, and I once again had a chance to meet with management last night and today, and I think they're really a terrific group of, or not group. It's actually two senior managers that are running this company. But I think they're doing a terrific job of turning this company around. So that would be another one that I would be looking at.
Thank you for that. And how can investors learn more about you?
Well, so my fund, I'm not raising any money at this point in time, so you can't invest in my fund, but I produce a quarterly newsletter, which is free. You have to go to my website, donvillekent.com, and it just tells you what my thoughts are and my stock ideas are. Once again, though, I won't market to you. The only thing you'll get is my quarterly newsletter, and anytime I'm going to be on television, I'll give you a heads up that I'm going to be on TV.
Thanks so much for talking to us, Jason.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the show today.
course. At the CanTech conference in Toronto, I'm Duhan Nandar for Small Cap Power.